Hello everyone and welcome to TIP Annual Conference 2022, themed The Parenting Advantage. We're bringing you coaches from all over the world, from Nigeria, Australia, Germany, Canada, the USA and the United Kingdom, even India. Get ready, your mind will be blown, your parenting game will be lifted high. You want to be a part of this. My name is Joy Unspeakable and I am the official MC of the Intentional Parents Academy. See you.
All right, good morning everyone. It's day 6. Day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of value back to back. Welcome everyone. My name is Maribel Chima and I'm going to be the moderator for this session. This is the session you do not want to miss. And I know there is nobody out there that does not have a child in a school. Homeschool, normal school, regular school, whatever you want to call it, you have a child in a school. And today we have someone here that is going to be talking to us about what kind of school you should be picking for your children. I mean, you've heard speaker after speaker talk about, where the environment where your child is being bred. Where have you planted your child? Where are you planting your seed? Where are you planting the future generation? It is important who is co-training or co-raising your children with you. The school environment, that place is a powerful place. And I say this boldly as a teacher and a parent. The person that has the attention, the ears of your children for 8 hours in a day or thereabouts is a powerful person. If you do not understand this begin to understand it today. The school is a powerful influence in the life of your child. Whatever center you drop your child in the morning, you drop them at in the morning and pick them after how many hours, right, is a powerful influence. From the inner side, I think, I don't know. All right, so we're going to be taking some testimonial from the Inner Circle program. Back office, are we ready?
I'm a member of the Intentional Parenting Academy. I'm in level 1. Being a member of the academy has brought immense transformation in my life. In fact, it's been a whole new paradigm shift for me. I was referred to as an angry bird by my children before now, but being a part of the academy, everything has changed. The testimony has changed. I didn't believe in not flogging a child. I so much believe in using cane as a discipline, but being a part of the academy, I have practically dropped my cane. Right now, my children are surprised. Even my husband is surprised. I'm also surprised at myself. Sometimes I look at myself and I can't believe me. I can't believe it is me, because one of the things the academy has helped us to do is to give us tools to replace spanking, So I've been equipped with so much knowledge and I am still learning. I am grateful. Knowledge is indeed power. And I'm parents with so much peace and so much calm. I understand that discipline is not an emergency. That's one of the words that hit me. That was one of the words that got me, or quotes that got me thinking. I am learning daily to connect with my children. I use my family values, as a tool for discipline and creating structure in my home. I understand that discipline is not flogging, is not yelling, is not screaming, is not hitting the child, but creating structure. I use their mistakes as a learning moment, as a teachable moment for my children. Coach Wendy, I really want to thank you for this, for all that you've done, for giving yourself to this. I thank you so much. I don't know how to express how grateful I am, because the things I hear here are here in the academy. I don't hear it anywhere else. Really, I encourage everybody to be part of the inner circle. If you are not in the inner circle, you are really in a long thing. So let's be part of this. Let's save our children. Let's change the narrative. Let's change our world.
All right, you have heard it. If you are not in the inner circle, you are really on a long thing. The inner circle is where you should be. The inner circle is that place that will give you all the advantage and teach you how to give your children the advantage that they need. Okay, so we're going to go right. All right, sorry about that.
Emmanuel Gabidu is an early years specialist and currently head of preschool. He obtained Nigerian Certificate of Education (NCE) and later bagged a degree in educational psychology from the University of Abuja. He has attended and obtained several professional training and certifications, among which are Jolly Phonics, Preschool Montessori, Creative-Based Learning, Technique for Professional Class Leadership, Leading in a 21st Century School, Innovation, Learning in 21st Century, and Integration of Technology in Learning, amongst others. He is the founder of Early Years Resource Hub. He spends his time helping teachers and parents with tools and resources to make teaching and learning fun and meaningful. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the TIP Annual Conference, Emmanuel Ogabidu.
All right, our guests, we'll be expecting our guests to show up on screen in the next few seconds. All right, so Mr. Emmanuel is going to be taking us on a very, very, very interesting and revealing ride. So get to your jota. Welcome, welcome. Good morning, sir. It's good to have you here.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
All right, then. So I'm not even going to waste your time because I think we are like 18 minutes. You know, I'm sure you have so much you want to tell us. So I'm just going to go backstage so that you can blow us away. Thank you very much for being here, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning from wherever you're listening from. Thank you for having me. I want to thank the Intentional Parent Academy for having me in this show today. So I'll be walking us through knowing the right or best school for your child. Now, this is a very important aspect of our lives because our children need to go to school. Our children need to start school, and many parents are bothered, are worried about sending their words to school. So this morning, I'm going to help you understand what it takes and the kind of environment you should be introducing your child to. Now, coming about this topic was a big challenge for me, but finally I was able to come around it because I understand that schools will be resumed by September and many children are going to start a new session by September. And a lot of parents have been asking questions. What is the right or best school for my child? Now, this is a valid question because every parent and caregiver want the best for the child. So your question is valid, and I'm going to be providing some answers today. So let's get started. Now, life is all about perspective and the views you carry, and it's very important you evaluate the views you have about life and basically about children. Now, your views about children speaks a lot. It tells you a lot about how you approach children and how you handle them. So basically, the first thing you need to reassess and reevaluate if you want to identify the right school for your child is you need to start by reassessing your views. You need to reevaluate your views about children. Now, when your perspectives are right, then you are in the right position or in the right place to select or know the best school for your child. So you need to understand your view. Then the next thing you need to understand is you need to understand the needs of the growing child. You need to understand the needs of the growing child. So this morning I'm going to share with us 3 views many adults hold about children. 3 different perspectives adults carry about children. Now the first one is adults have this view that children are empty vessels. Really, are children empty vessels? Now, if you believe that children are empty vessels, then it informs how you approach them. Now, by extension, when any schools carry the view that children are empty vessels, by extension, it will tell you what or how they're going to handle your child. Now, when something is empty, what do? You have to fill that thing. You have to fill that thing with something. So when an adult wants to fill your child, when an adult carries this perspective of views about children, how is this adult going to fill your child? With what will this adult fill your child? Now, basically, if the adult is coming with certain biases, so you can be sure your child is going to take on those biases. So you need to reevaluate your view. You really need to evaluate your view. Now, I liken this to like buying a new phone. Now, children are not empty. Why do we say children are not empty? Now, when you buy a new phone, now you boot the phone. Now, the phone comes with an operating system. Now, the operating systems are the platform you start using your new device. So, the same way children come with an operating system. It is this operating system that determines their needs and their behavior. Now, if the operating system determines their development, now you need to understand that every child has an operating system. Now, their behavior comes from this operating system. Now, every child also have a unique operating system. Now, if you don't know that children have operating system which they work from, you carry that view that children are empty, then you are going to measure the children based on your own standard and views about life. They are going to be assessed based on your own standard. Then when you are punishing them now, you'll be punishing them based on your own standard. So one thing you need to understand is that children are not empty vessels. Children have their own unique operating system. Their behavior, their needs, and their development are dictated by this operating system. Now, the second view adults have about children is children are sinful. Children are sinners. So when somebody is full of sin or when somebody is a sinner, what do? You go into action to start correcting the anomalies that you feel is in that being. Now, when a school has this view, when an adult has this view about children, then your child is going to a correctional facility. Your child is not going to an environment where it's going to learn, where it's going to develop, where it's going to realize its potential. Your child is basically going to a correctional facility. So if you are taking your child to a correctional facility, then you shouldn't be surprised the outcome you're going to get at the end of the day. Now, like I mentioned earlier, children have an operating system. So it is this operating system that dictates how they behave. Now, if you look at nature and living organism, human being included, everybody thrives towards life, towards meaningful existence. Now, it is the environment that determines how we respond to life. So, children are not sinful. Children come with their own needs. So the environment needs to understand their needs and respond to their needs accordingly. Now, like I said, if the school has a view that a child is sinful and you have a view that the child is also sinful, then you become a checkmate to your child. The school becomes a correctional facility. Then you see that you don't trust children to do what is right. You start punishing them, you start restricting them, you start creating barriers and benchmarks to inhibit them. Now, when you start doing this, you are shutting down, you are shutting down the child and the child's development. Now, the last view I want to share with us now is a view that is based on research. It is based on research and observation. Now, this view has it that every child comes with a potential. Now, at birth, your child comes with all that it needs to thrive. The child comes with all that it needs to survive. Now, your responsibility is to aid the child. Your basic task is to aid the child. You cannot recreate the child. You cannot make anything out of the child. So I usually compare the child to a seed. Now, what a farmer does when he has a seed is the farmer understands the seed. The farmer tries to find out the kind of environment the seed needs to thrive. Then the farmer can now go on to start preparing the condition that will aid the development of the seed. So the child is like a seed. You need to understand your child. Then you need to understand what drives your child or the basic needs of your child. Now, when you understand this, you are empowered, you are armed with the information to decide the right or the school your child needs to fulfill his or her potential. So now you need to understand the three views that I just shared. The first view says the child is an empty vessel, so the child needs an adult to fill him up. So when you take a child to school, what you expect that somebody will have to fill your child with his own biases, with his own shortcomings, and so on. Now the second view is that children are sinful. So if a school has a view that children are sinful, what the school basically is a correctional facility and not an environment where the child needs to fulfill his potential. Then lastly, if you have this view or a school has a view that the child has all he needs to fulfill his or her potentials, then the school is positioned to aid the child in realizing or fulfilling his potential. Now, the next thing you need to consider is what are the needs of children? What do children need? Now, there's so many things many people don't know, and parents don't know especially. The school is not designed for the child. The school is not designed for your child. The child was not, sorry, the school is designed for your child. The school is designed for your child. The child is not designed for school. Now, school, the way we have it now, it does everything that goes against the basic needs of the child. Now, what happens basically is that somebody look at the society and pinpoint some needs of the society. Then they go on now to design structure to meet the needs of the society and not the needs of the child. So the child is brought into this system and is being trained to meet this set target of the society. Now we're having it backwards. What about we flip it this way? Let's understand what the child needs to thrive. Remember, I said every child has a potential. Now, what you need to do is create the environment that will help this child to fulfill this potential. Now, what about if we observe children, understand what they need, understand that they have operating system, understand that there are certain things that need to be in place to aid their development. Then we'll be aiding the child to move towards life, towards fulfillment, and towards enjoying life and existence. So, what are the basic needs of a child? How do you identify the right school for your child? One, you need to ask them what are their views about children. What do they know about children? Now, this will set you on the path to deciding the school for your child. Now, the next information you need to have is an understanding of the needs of your child. You need to understand what your child needs. Now, like I pointed earlier, every child has an operating system. Now, this operating system is not the same for every child. Now, as children grow and interact with the environment, they continue to modify and refine the operating system. So the needs of children at different ages vary. So what are the needs of the child? Now, nature has shown us what the child needs. From conception till birth, nature has provided all the conditions the fetus need to develop. Now, if you observe growth and development, you understand that all the child needs within the first 9 months have been provided. But at birth, the child needs to live in the environment of the mother. So, how can the mother play the role of helping the child to adapt and to enjoy life? Now, at birth, if the condition of the environment is not suitable for the child, just like a seed, the child will never have the opportunity to fulfill his potential. Now, it has been said that the environment should act as a kind of aquarium which reflects the ideas, the ethics, the attitudes, and culture of the people who live in it. Now, this is what we are working towards. This is what we must work towards. Now, when we understand the needs of children, we can now go on to start designing the environment that will aid their development. So, what are the needs of children at birth? The number one need of children at birth is a healthy environment. Now, by environment, I mean all the animate and inanimate things that will exist in the child's immediate environment. So let's talk about the things, the inanimate object that must be in the child's environment. Those things have to be attractive and appealing. They have to be attractive and appealing. Then they should be child size material that the child can handle and relate with. Now, the inanimate things that must be in the child's environment have to do with the people in the child's environment. Now, the people that must be in the child environment must understand the things you understand. What are the things you understand? You know the needs of your child, and you are positioned to help the child to fulfill these needs. So the people in the child environment must know the things you know. They must know the needs of the child. So the school you're taking your child to must understand what your child needs to grow and develop. They must understand this. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the views they have about children will determine how they will handle these children. So the child needs a healthy environment where he enjoys the love and warmth he needs to grow. Now, we understand that children learn from adults first by observing, then they do. Now, the adult that must exist in the child's immediate environment must model the right behavior, character, and attitude the child needs to fulfill his potential. So, the first thing the child needs is a healthy environment where there are meaningful communications and where the right attitudes and values are modeled to the child. Then the second need of the child is the need for adaptation. Now, if you observe man and children by extension, all we are doing through this life is we continually adapt to environmental conditions so that we can fulfill or realize our potential. So the need for adaptation is basic even from birth. Now, how we'll help children to adapt will determine the joy they will derive from life. So at birth, you must understand what the child needs to adapt. Now, like I said, how we help the child to adapt will determine how the child will face life and how the child will thrive. Then the next thing the child needs is freedom and movement. Now, freedom is one concept many persons struggle to understand. Freedom is one concept many adults struggle to understand. What do we mean by freedom? The feel freedom is allowing the child do whatever he likes at all times. No, that is not it. Freedom helps children to one, manifest their operating system. Then two, it gives you the opportunity to understand the child's operating system. That way you can help the child. You can't really know the potential of the child until you allow the child to manifest this potential. Just like buying a new phone, like I mentioned earlier, until you boot the phone, you can't really tell what the phone can do. You can't know what the operating system of that phone is. Freedom is key to the development of children, and freedom has to do with space. So when you're looking at a school for your children, space is one key element you should be looking at for, because your child needs space to explore. He needs space to take in sensory stimulus. that will aid the development of these organs. So the next thing we have to look at is movement. Movement is life. How do you know a child is alive? Movement. How do you know a child is learning? Movement. How do you know what a child is internalizing? You know these things by movement. So movement also has to do with space. Movement has to do with space. Now, the limit to the child's freedom has to do with three things I am going to mention now. So you need to allow the child freedom, you need to allow the child the space to move. Because we said it's in freedom that you get to know what your child is carrying, and it's the movement that children learn and internalize what they are learning. Now, when a child's freedom uh, affects the freedom of another person, now you can come in to checkmate the activity of the child. If the child's activity is going to affect the child's growth and development, let's say, for instance, the child is going towards a sharp object, then you can come in to intervene. Now, when the child's movement or activities affect the environment, which leads like in form of destruction, you can now come in to intervene. Now, when the child's activity does not affect any of these three things I mentioned, every other attributes the child exhibits, you need to observe them. Then you can design or prepare the environment to aid the child in his development. So, like I said, the child needs freedom and it needs movement. Now, these two things are encouraged by space and an adult that understand that the child needs this the space to fulfill his or her potential. Now, the next thing the child needs is independence and responsibility. Growth is movement towards independence. As your child grows, the child goes through different phases of development. Now, this is very important. Now, a child you're carrying, a time will come in the life of that child that the child will go from sitting to crawling, crawling to walking. Now, these are different stages of independence. So, growth is movement towards independence. And as children grow, they conquer one level and move on to another. Now, you cannot teach your child independence or responsibility. You can't. You teach the child independence and responsibility first by modeling the right uh, character or behavior. Then you give the child space, the freedom to do what the child has seen. Now, this is very important. So, the school you are taking your child to, what do they have in place to encourage independence and responsibility? Responsibility has to do with choice, your ability to choose and carry out your action independently. Now, this is where modeling freedom and space come into place. Children need freedom to manifest what they carry inside. So, you help them, you guide them by making choices that aligns with their basic needs. And one of their basic needs is freedom and movement. So the next thing you should be looking at for is where there is meaningful language. Meaningful language. Now, of all creation, it is only man that has the capacity for language. Man has the capacity to acquire language and to use language. So as children grow, they have the need for language. Now, language is a tool for socialization. Children need language to communicate their needs and to understand the needs of others. Children need language to communicate their needs and to understand the needs of others. So the right environment for your child, the right thing for your child must understand the needs of the child for language and create the opportunity for the child to acquire language and to use language. Now, so you need to factor this in when you're looking for the right school for your child. Language is very, very important to the development of the child. Now, how do you expose the child to language? You just, how you expose children to language is basically what you have to do is put them in an environment where there is rich oral language communication. Now, we understand that children copy from adults. So when you take your child to an environment where they speak pidgin, then definitely you should know that it is going to affect your child. Your child is going to acquire the wrong language, and is going to use the wrong language. So language is one of the basic needs of children. So the last one I'll be talking about here now is safety. Safety is key to the development of the child. Because we've seen that the child needs freedom to realize its potentials, we have to be careful the kind of environment we expose children to. The kind of environment children are exposed to must ensure the safety of the child, must ensure the safety of the child in his interactions with the adult in the environment and in his interaction with his mate. Now, the adult has to be sensitive to the needs of the child and ensure that the environment the child is does not contain objects that can harm the child or prevent the development of the child. Now, when an environment restricts a child, children begin to deviate. They begin to go against their operating system. So it is very important that when you're taking your child to a school, you understand what are their safety measures. Now, you have to have in mind that these safety measures must not be put in place to restrict the freedom and movement of the child. Now, when it restricts the movement and freedom of the child will deviate. Some of the anomalies we see in children is as a result of restriction, as a result of imposition by adults. So when adults consistently impose certain measures on children, it is going to affect their development. And when children deviate, they constitute problem to you as a parent and to the society. So far now, help us to see that for you to choose the right school for your child, the first thing you need to re-evaluate is your views about children. You need to understand what what is the school's view about children. Now, recently I was talking to someone and he wanted to apply in a school, and the first thing they asked him is, what is the philosophy about children? What is the view? What is his view of children? Now, this is very key because if you don't understand the philosophy or the view of that school about children, then you can't be sure where you're taking your child to. So you need to understand their view. And the three views I've highlighted to us is one, adults have this view that children are empty vessels. So they need to feel children. The second view is that children are sinful. Children have defects that the adult needs to correct. So basically, when you're taking a child to a school that holds that view, or if you hold that view, then you are taking your child to a correctional facility. You are taking your child to a correctional facility. Then the last view holds that children have the potentials, have all the potentials. Now, what you need to do is create the environment to help them in realizing their potentials. Now, when you see yourself as an aid to life, then your approach to life becomes different. Then here now you are positioned or you are prepared to help the child to realize his potential. And I've walked us through some of the basic needs of the child. The first basic need is a healthy environment. And I said the healthy environment contains the inanimate and animate objects, the things and people that must exist in the child's environment. Now, the people that must exist in the child's environment, they must understand the needs of the child and how to aid the child in his development. Now, the things that are going to be in the child's environment, they must also be the things that will help the child to exercise the abilities he has. Then the next thing we looked at is freedom and movement. We say children need freedom to realize their potentials, and freedom and movement go side by side. We say it is in an atmosphere of freedom that the child can reveal himself to us. So freedom is very important. Now, when the child is free, like I said, you now have the opportunity to understand what the child carries. Then you are now positioned to help the child. I also mentioned that one another basic needs of a child is movement. Movement is life, like I said, and children need space to move. Children need space to play. Children need space to experiment. So a school that does not have space, it means the child cannot play, the child cannot experiment. Now, when children have space to play and experiment, or they live in an environment that restricts them, they are going to deviate. They are going to start going against, that means you are conditioning them against their operating system. Now, every living organism have an operating system to move towards life and meaningful living. So to decide the right thing for your child, you need to look at the space they have. What is their view about freedom and movement of children? Now, many schools have this view that children don't need to play. Children need to sit and learn. You see, sitting goes against the nature of children. Sitting down for a long time goes against their nature completely. That is why it is very difficult to ask a child to sit down. It is very difficult to sit down because it goes against his needs. Now, development is in stages. As children grow and develop, they master certain skills that enables them to adapt. Now, the next one I mentioned is children need independence and responsibility. Now, like I said, you can't teach a child independence, you can't teach a child responsibility. But when the environment is tailored to meet the needs of a child and the right behavior and attitude is modeled, then it becomes easy for the child to develop the skills. Now, like I said also, independence comes with making choices. I think we need to allow children to make choice. Now, when children make choice, you understand what it is they need. Then, if the choice is now wrong in quote, you can now guide them. You can now aid them to make the right choice. Now, like I said, modeling is very, very important. So, in choosing the right school for your child, what is the school view about independence? Let's say, for example, a child that can eat. When you want to help the child to feed himself, it becomes a challenge. It becomes a challenge for that child. Then, secondly, when a child start walking, when children start walking and you try to carry them, they revolt. So this is why you need to find out what are their rules, what are their views about the independence of a child, and how do they help a child to be responsible. Now, helping a child to be responsible, how to allowing the child to make choice and carrying out its action by him or herself. Then the last thing I mentioned is the need for language. Now, like I said, language helps children to communicate their needs and understand the needs of others. Language is a tool for socialization. Language is a tool for socialization, and language is one of the basic needs of every human being. Because as children grow, as they explore and understand their environment, they need the right language to communicate their needs and understand the needs of others. So, in taking your child to any school, you need to understand their views about language. You need to understand what values they carry and transmit when they use language. So, in summary, what is the right school for your child? Now, the right school for your child is that school that understands the basic needs of your child, and they are positioned to help the child to fulfill his or her potential. So the right school for your child must understand the needs of your child, which are the needs I've highlighted. They must have the right view about the child, and when they have these things in place, then you can be sure they are positioned to help your child in fulfilling his or her potentials. So thank you very much for having me. I hope I have empowered you with the information about your child and how to identify the right school for your child.
Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel. You have over delivered. Oh my God. Okay, are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Thank you so much. You have just delivered that like the professional, like the teacher that you are. I mean, how you carried us through the lessons and then you came back and you summarized. You know, when you went to the second leg, I'm like, so I had my network going off and on. You know, I had a bit of an erratic network going off and on and all that. So by the time you came and you were doing the summary, I was able to like gather everything that I missed while I was going out and in. And you know, that is what a good teacher does. After teaching, he comes back and then he summarizes, you know, and he takes you like through what he said again. And a lot of times, when the kids that did not get it the first time, by the time you come again a second time, a lot of them will connect to what they couldn't connect with the first time. And at the end, you still went through highlighting everything that you said again. Thank you so much. That was delivered so
Thank you very much.
succinctly. And
Thank you.
you know,
Thank you for
I
having
mean,
me.
you couldn't have said it any better. This is so, so, so on point. It's so on point that, you know, a lot of times we take our children to schools and the schools have no idea what these children need. And because as parents, we also have this skewed view of what school should be. We are all very concerned. So when we walk into the facility, the first thing we are looking at is how WAEC result has been, or how many, I mean, how, we have specific schools. Why am I not in this stream? I need to adjust. You know, so we have specific schools that, you know, we think our children should be in before they can become complete humans. So when we get there and they say, we have 80 children who make this school, 50 who make this school, 20 who make this school, this is the right school. I mean, you couldn't have said it any better. Hey, coach, good to have you.
Thank you so much, Mary Beth, and thank you, Emmanuel Ogabidu.
Thank
You
you.
know, right in the academy, one of the things that we make emphasis on is the right school for your child. You know,
Yes.
last year we started the back to school master classes that we do for the parents in our academy. We're going to also do it again before September. There's something about the school, the choice of school that you make for your child. A lot of parents do not understand that is a huge factor. You know, it was maybe better I was discussing with, and I said, somebody said, "Oh, you have an advantage because your children went to bankies and all." I said, "Yes, actually, it was actually an advantage to my parenting. The school, the primary school my children went to was a parenting advantage. Anytime, any day. And you know, their proprietor is here listening. Shout out to you, Mrs.
Wow.
Bankole. All right. And you know, the truth of the matter is that it was a school that understood what school should be. Going to go and dump your child in any school and thinking,
Wow.
oh, that's just because the school is making good grades. Oh, that's where my children should be and all of that. That's blah blah dash. There is a lot. Somebody was telling me, you know, talking to me about emotional intelligence, and I said to them, my children's school in primary school understood, you know, what that meant. We did a training, we brought in people, you know, there were different ways to teach different skills. My children learned how to knit in primary school because, you know, we created a curriculum. I helped the school created a curriculum that we incorporate self-control in the system, and they had to learn to knit. All right, so they both of them can knit. You know, the knitting and the wool and all of that. It's not for it's not for any it's not for any award. All right. I woke up in the morning, you know, because parents think that, oh, anything that the child is doing is so that they will give them an award, they will praise you and all of that.
Mm.
I woke up in the morning yesterday and my son was on the piano,
Yeah.
you know, and this amazing, you know, sound was blaring from the sitting room, and I was right in my room, you know, and it struck me. He was just looking for calm. My children learn to play musical instruments not because they were going to go for any competition. They don't play anywhere. They play in school, yes. They play in school orchestra and all of that. But it was majorly for them to be able to find a calm space for themselves. So until you understand, and it was like a
Wow.
compulsory tool in their primary school.
Mm.
Every child learned to play a musical instrument. It was compulsory. The school you take your child to, it will determine how much advantage you have on this journey. There is no two ways about it. And it starts from the cradle. It's not even from
Absolutely.
primary school. It's from nursery school. We must pay
Yeah.
attention. If you make a school mistake, that might be the worst thing that happened to you. I have found myself before in a school mistake before. I spent one term in that school. And when I realized that it was a mistake, I pulled out immediately. I left both my money and the school, and we left.
Yeah.
So, because I know how much damage,
Wow.
I'm talking about thousands of naira, I know how much damage that could have done to my parenting journey. So, if you don't understand how much important a school is, you need to go over again, this session. And of course, if you're in the inner circle, of course, you'll be glad by the time we do back to school, you'll be able to, learn even deeper things about sending you, back to school. Because I'm sure that Mr. Emmanuel will not be able to deliver to you in 1 hour all you need to know about going back to school. Safety, everything. It's not just academics. There's a lot more to look at. Over to you, Mary Beth, as we begin to round up.
All right. So thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. Thank you, Coach. I mean, I remember that back to school session. It was huge. It wasn't just you. You had other people join to tell you how in the academy we do not joke with. There are specific things you can tell that Coach Wendy does not joke with. You will see how she puts her energy and throws it behind things like executive functioning skills, the right school, and then sexual conversation. And really, if you look at these 3 things, and then of course the ultimate emotional control and all of that, if you look at these things, connection, emotional control, the right school, your children taking, being able to initiate and do things on their own, when you are done with all this, I mean, that child that you are looking for will emerge. That child will emerge, and there is no doubt about it. Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel. You have done so well to deliver this in 1 hour. Dear parents, I hope you heard. I hope you heard. Coach Wendy said 1 term was all she took to take her children away from a place that would not give them the right advantage. You have September. From now to September to make a decision. There is no need for emotional blackmail. There's no need. Don't even play with this one. If it is not right, they don't have the right language, they don't have safety, they don't have space, they don't have all that your child needs to thrive. They don't even understand the psychology of a child. My God, when you go to a school and they tell you, yeah, we don't beat them, but only the principal is allowed to beat them. Well, what are you talking about? You understand? What are you talking about? Only the principal is allowed to beat them. So the principal's rod is different from the teacher's
That's the
rod.
correctional facility.
That's a correctional facility. That's a good one.
Exactly. It's a correctional facility.
You can see the passion at which Mary Beth is speaking. Mary Beth is a teacher, so when it comes to this area, Mary Beth can go off and on and on. Go ahead.
I'm telling you. And even in the correctional centers abroad, they don't even cane them and beat them and do this to them anymore, because they understand it is not in the punishment, right? Thank you so much, sir. Any last word you would like to? Or are we having another testimonial, Coach? Are we having a testimonial coming before?
No, we have another session to get into
I think,
at 11. Your last word, sir. I think his network is
erratic. Yes. Let's just give him a minute or two and see.
Okay, just remember that you can follow Emmanuel Ogabidu on Facebook.
Like I said earlier, the view students.
Okay, you were off a bit. Your network is a bit erratic, sir. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Okay, I think
like I said, the view students, parents about children, kind of schools they choose. Okay, I think my letter is acting. Thank you very much for having me. Actually, thank you very much, and have a pleasant Saturday.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel Ogabidu. You can find him right on Facebook. He's very, very, very active on Facebook, and you can go ahead and find him there. Thank you so much for joining us, and see you in the next session where we're going to be having a color right about now. And have a nice day.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
My name is Tolulope Ojo. I'm a mother and the face behind Relic Signature. At Relic Signature, we offer fun educational resources and activities that can keep your children engaged all day, and at the same time, build essential life skills. Our products have helped a lot of parents connect better with their children, and it has also helped spark imaginations and increase creativity in these children. Our products can help build skills such as interpersonal skill, problem-solving skill, critical thinking, patience, resilience, and a lot. Some of our top-notch products are diamond block, building block, lasso kit, punch needle kits, paint by number, diamond painting, just a few to mention. We have a lot to offer and support the best environment to nurture your kids. Visit us today at Redeemer Estate Plaza, Lugbe, online on our Instagram handle, Relic_signature. Remember, never stop having fun. We look forward to meeting you. Thank you.